Welcome to the In Peace We Rest podcast, everybody. Welcome. We are so excited to talk to you all today about an interesting topic that I think we all are constantly contemplating, yet struggling with the art of letting go. The art of letting go. How many things do we need to let go of? How many course corrections maybe do we need to make? What feelings come up when we're feeling like we're giving up or we failed at something because we need to let it go? So we are really excited to touch on all of these things with you today. But before we do, as always, Jerry, today, will you please drop us in?
Let's zen out. All right, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, evening. Hello. Let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose, filling the lungs all the way full, as big as you can. We're just going to hold the top and then let it go all the way out. Let it go through the mouth and all the way out. We're emptying that lung all the way, letting go, pushing a little bit more, and breathe in through the mouth. Full lung, all the way full, holding at the top again. Just clearing our mind, setting space, and now letting go of that breath out the mouth. Again, all the way out, emptying. Letting that space enter into our heart. And breathing back in through the nose. All the way full. And then letting go out the mouth. All the way out. We're just going to hold at the bottom. Letting that space into our mind. Letting everything clear. And then deep breath back in through the nose. All the way full to the lung, all the way full, pulling in all that light, all that love around us, giving us energy, giving us our ambition, our passion, holding at the top with gratitude. And then letting go all the way, letting go of anything that's in our way, anything that we need to pass, anything we need to forgive. Let it go in that stream. Deep breath in through the nose. And then let it go out the mouth. 2 more times. Last one. All the way out. Sitting this moment. Beginning to breathe on your own pace, whatever feels good for you. Starting to wiggle our toes, bring ourselves back into this space, back into this moment, back into this beautiful conversation, inviting in all our spirits, all our loved ones, calling them in here to guide us so that we can bring the truth about everything we know. And here we are.
I am so stoked for this topic today. I'm so excited to go on this adventure of letting go, not only because while we're recording this episode, we're in fall, we're in metal energy, which is all about that, which is all about fully receiving something and releasing it. And really, something about letting go that I don't think people talk about enough is just really letting it flow. You don't have to focus so much on letting things go as much as I feel like allowing it to flow.
Yeah, I think it's more about letting go of the things that you think you have to hold on to, right? Or the things that you have to fix.
Yeah, I feel like there's such that when we are in relationship or in situationship or in whatever in connection, because mostly that's things we don't want to let it go, right? When we are in connection with something else and we don't want to let that go, there is such constriction around allowing that to even fully come in. So I tend to offer this question. I know we're like just going right in. Like I feel like I'm like, man, let's go right to the deep end. I feel like a better question is how do I fully receive something? Like that's such a better question than how do I let something go? Am I
Yeah,
even allowing myself to do that?
we say like all the time, like, oh, I got to get out of my own way. But really, that's not the case. You really just need to let go of the things that are blocking you, right? It's not, you have full control. So I kind of don't like that statement anymore. Of course, I'm in my own way, but it's up to me to move those things.
Mhm.
I think another question that comes up for me when we talk about this is yes, how am I allowing things in? How am I receiving it? But also when there is that nudge to let it go or to allow it to shift, what comes up? Like what is the cause of that constriction? Why do I hesitate to even go there? Usually my mind immediately shuts it off and it's like, no, we need this. We have to have this. This is really important. For whatever reason. So what are some common stories that we've heard amongst clients of the struggle to even admit that we want to let something go in the first place?
Yeah, I think the first one, I think it's like number one, time, right? It's like we have that guilt, like especially for parents, and we want to give all the time we can for our kids, especially if they're in school. And the older they get, it seems to be like the less we really see them. And so it's like that becomes really precious. And so, what am I making time for now? Like, what am I really like? I need to pull them in. And I need to give them that space so that they can understand that that's where they grow, that's where they learn. And yeah,
I feel like where this shows up most for me with my clients is, because I work in relationship, right? Letting go of an expectation, letting go of it's almost, I often end up challenging my clients to let go altogether. Like, what if you just let it go? What if you just let this relationship go altogether? Because I feel what needs to happen is when we get into these complicated situations where we are not sure when we need to let something go or when we need to hold something on, sometimes we have to drop everything for a second and see what we try to pick up first. What is it? What is it that, like that permission? Sometimes I feel like what I'm trying to say is sometimes we get so hung up on exactly what it is that we need to let go of that we don't let go of anything. And when we can let go of everything for a second and just notice what it is that we're trying to pick up. And if you don't try to pick that thing up, maybe that doesn't serve you anymore. And I feel like that's such a great way to start in this process of what learning what cycles your body goes through, learning what that rhythm is for you is sometimes you have to kind of let everything go. And that's a bit of a process. But I also feel like that's a really big step on this journey in general.
Yeah, I mean, I love the importance of the fact of like, in order to let something go, I need to be really clear on what it is I'm making room for. That's very important. I think in my experience, before we even get to that point, there is a very common story that we create is if I let this thing go, then what kind of person does that make me? I have failed. I am not a good friend. I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good mom. Like those kinds of stories, I feel like are so common. And usually that's not true, right? I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a good friend. And just because this relationship isn't serving me anymore, this situation isn't serving me anymore, how can I recognize that not only is it not serving me, I am not doing my best in this situation. I'm not giving in the way that I'm wanting to because it's draining me.
yeah. Your energy is diverted,
Yeah.
and it needs to really be redirected. Yeah.
And how do we recognize that and let go of that story? Because that does
Yeah.
that come up often for you guys when
Uh,
you're working with clients or
all the
even with
all,
yourself?
yeah, all the time. Well, first, because I think we're so tied into that victim story, right? And I'll call it for what it is. Like, it's most of the time it's us complaining or expressing a story about how we went through a trauma. And like we get so attached to that story and we so perfect that story because we tell so many people about that story. And then you get so hooked on it that it almost becomes a part of you. And so like, and then it becomes like your identity, this victim story. And it's like, you can't really heal unless you change your perspective on that. In my grief classes, we talk about, changing grief to gratitude. And it's just being, and the only way you can do that is by letting go of that story and writing a new one, changing that perspective. And then until you can get into a space of clarity and a space of accepting that it's time to let that go, because a lot of times that's their whole identity is what they've been through. And so I think that happened. That's happened to me. I think it happens to everybody. So it's not something that it's the unique thing. It happens to all of us. And so, but once you can change that story, you're inviting in such a more positive energy, right? You're talking about the good that came from the trauma and what you learned versus the negative and how it was painful and how it hurt you. And I'm a big believer that when we speak, we're casting spells. Like when we speak, we're telling the universe what we're trying to gain. And if you're always talking with negative thought, unfortunately, you're calling in negative energy. And so you got to be really careful about what we do. And I think, and the best place to do that is in that space that we're trying to create, right? So you can actually think, you can actually focus. That's why meditating is so powerful, is it's just allowing yourself to have that space to allow those perception things to shift.
Yeah, and I feel like too there's always something deeper, right? Like yes, there is that negative self-talk that definitely will influence how we navigate in the world, right? But there's a deeper layer to that of where does this belief even come from? Why do I believe that if I walk away from this relationship that makes me a bad friend? There's probably got left as a friend, or there's some childhood trauma there somewhere, and say, okay, is that true for me right now? Is that my current story, or is this an opportunity for me to go back to that version of myself and help them heal, help them feel loved?
Yeah. And sometimes friends come and go and like in a positive way. And because what that does is like it allows for new people to enter into your life. We only have so much time during the day. And so it's like that becomes, I think, the more aware you get of this, the more valuable your time becomes and who you spend your time with. And so it's like, are those people really serving you? Are your friends really encouraging you to find that inner peace? And those are the people you want around you. And if you have people around you all the time that are always in that negative space, and that it becomes really hard and it really affects us. And so the best thing to do is like find like what we do, find like meditation so you can actually go back in and gain that confidence again. Because I think we like I know in like my household growing up, like my parents were very negative. And it's like I had to escape that. And the only way place for me to escape that was like literally just being by myself in like silence and solitude to where I can actually like figure it out. But when you have everybody always in your ear talking to you, telling you this is how it's supposed to be, and like especially in our world today with the news, right? Everything's the bad story. Everything's like the tragic event that happened. That's always the big news. And so I think it's just like you have to kind of let go of that, but it's still ingrained in us to want to tell that story of victimhood.
I'm having really interesting thoughts and I'm kind of curious. And I've had these over the last week or so. I've been writing a bit, and there's a few different themes that are coming up. So bear with me, and I'm really curious what you guys think about this. And the overarching topic I want to say is maybe we don't let go because we haven't allowed ourselves to feel the sensation fully. And that is something I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and it was this idea of grief, particularly because right, grief is connected to mental. It is the energy of letting go. Usually, it's fully receiving something and letting it and releasing it. And I really love the word releasing versus letting go, because letting go is a forward move in action to me. Like the energy movement that I get in my mind is this, like I have to, but a release is more of a open and allow it to do what it feels good. And so I like that thought. If letting go is hard for you, maybe open to the idea of releasing something and not holding it tightly so much, just opening your hands. But yeah, I was having a conversation about grief particularly, and they said to me, well, I feel like I have to be in misery when I'm in grief. I feel like I have to be in that place. I can't be happy and grieving at the same time. And I was like, but that's not what grief is. Grief is not misery. Grief is
So
the sadness. And there is elementally and that is elementally and seasonally letting go is grief. Releasing is grief. Receiving and releasing is grief. It is a process. It's not one particular emotion. It is a flow of motions. It is a combination of allowing sensation to move through our body. And so what I feel like happens for us is we are trying so hard to feel a sensation that everyone around us is telling us that we are supposed to be feeling in our world, whether that is when someone dies or whether that is when a situation changes or a relationship. Like I feel as a society, we are hunting so much to feel things that we don't let go or release a situation or a relationship because we feel like there should be a different feeling. We are hunting for something to tell us it is time. But what's happening is we're just feeling nothing. And sometimes, like I almost in this podcast want to give people permission to feel nothing. That's okay. You
yeah,
don't have to have this intense feeling about everything. You're not going to. And if other people are having intense feelings, that's amazing. Fuck, sweet, good on them. You don't have to do that. So you don't have to hold on to this thing so that it builds up sensation, and then now all of a sudden, after 3 days of thinking of like percolating and constricting and tightening about something, now you have sensation in your body. Well, that's not why. You have sensation in your body because you didn't, like, you're not breathing fully, really. Like you're not allowing that energy to breathe you. I'm really curious what your guys' thoughts. That was a lot. That like took, I feel like I took us in a place, but I'm curious your thoughts.
I loved everything about what you said. And for those of you who are like not watching this, you're just listening, like Jasmine's hands are just like balled up in fists and her shoulders are up and her energy is like, it's just, that is not a comfortable energy to be or be around. And I like Jasmine, you and I have talked a lot about this. If we're not letting go, we're holding on, right? And this like the clawing in energy, to be on the receiving end of that desperate need to hold something really only pushes you away further.
Yeah, it's yucky. It's the yuckiest feeling.
It's needy because it doesn't allow you to be. It doesn't allow the other person to flow in a way that they feel like they want to do either. And I feel like relationships are this beautiful dance and weaving in and out of spaces. Like we've all heard people talk about those sacred friendships that we have where you can go months and months and months without talking to each other. And then when you meet back up together again, it's like no time has passed at all. Like you're just beautiful friends. There's no resentment over the time that has passed. You're just allowing one another to be and enjoying the space that you're in while you're in it. And how beautiful would life be if we could treat everything that way? And I love that you speak to the idea of these societal stories that we tell ourselves. Like some of my most favorite work to do is redefining what our roles are in certain relationships. What does it mean to be a mother? What does it mean to be a wife? What does it mean to be a dad? What does it mean to be a friend? And where did those definitions come up with in the first place? Where did those come from? Does that really feel true to me? Or is that just been passed down from my parents or my religion or my school? What feels right to me? And how can I lean into that new definition so that I can live life less constricted, less desperate to feel, less desperate to belong, and just content with being?
Yeah.
yeah.
When you go through your life with your hands open so that you can receive and you can release. And
Well, and
go ahead.
And I think like no, you're good. So like, and it's like just that flow state, right? It's so important for us to flow, and like that's how we're meant to be. And anytime we're trying to like hold on, I like the when you're talking about holding on and then releasing. Holding on has such like a I'm losing something. If I don't hold on, I'm losing something. Where releasing, it's like I'm positively giving that energy. And I just want to kind of to touch on that again, because that's like, that was really powerful for me because it really switched that whole thought process. Because releasing it is like, it's just such, it's like like when you release a fish in the wild, right? You're catching fish and you let it go, you're giving back, you know, and you really are. And that's the thing, you're not letting go, you're actually giving back, but you're giving back to yourself and it's coming back to you. So yeah, I think, and that the flow of the universe, right? Like that, yeah, it has to keep moving. And anytime we're stopping it and or interrupting it, we're all the stuff that we're trying to manifest, all our goals and all those things, it's like we're putting them on pause every time we do that. And if you want your life to feel good, you've got to like unpause it, right? You have to experience it. And so it's just really like really falling back into that like that space of just allowing yourself to be, right, getting into that space where you're not in thought, you're not trying to figure something out. It's just being, like being grateful that you're here, being grateful that you can breathe and that when you open your eyes you can see, like it's always the little things, it's always like the simplest things that we have these abilities to do in these magical bodies. And we don't ever give ourselves that space to really have that thought process for ourselves, right? We have it for our kids, we have it for our spouses, but where do we give that time for us, right? Where do we give that time back to ourselves to where we can actually change that perception and gain that gratitude in the grief, right? Because everybody's lost, and all grief is just a lost expression of the love, right? There's all that love that we had for whatever we lost, and we want to be able to express it. Well, in order for that gratitude or that grief to change, that takes a process and that takes a space to happen. And if you can't create that space, those emotions aren't going to be able to move. And like that's what I find with all of my students is that that's where they're at. And until that emotion can start to move, it has nothing about expressing it is a big deal with grief. But until you can actually feel it, you can't express it. And so that has to be first, like really finding that space for yourself. And whether that's, coming to a class or joining a cult, like whatever you need to do, right? Like do it. But it's just, yeah, you got to like harness that energy and be aware of it for it to change. And I think we get so busy in our lives that awareness, we don't ever let it in.
I love that
Yeah.
you kind of spoke to the safety piece of things too. I feel like a huge reason why a lot of us don't really allow ourselves the opportunity to fully feel the emotion we're trying to shift anyway is because we don't feel safe to experience it for whatever that reason is. So that's the beautiful question, that thought for contemplation is how can I help myself to feel safe, whether that's a different environment, the environment that you're in, the people that you're with, the situation that is
Yeah.
going on with you. I feel like that's the biggest red flag. If I'm not allowing myself to feel, something is not right in my situation that needs to change.
Yeah. Do you trust
And
yourself?
well, and I want to offer that a feeling and a sensation can be peace. And so,
Yes.
like, just because you're not feeling enraged or you're not feeling sad or you're not feeling happy, peace is a feeling. Like, just that sensation of being at peace, and we didn't accidentally name this podcast "In Rest We Peace" or "In Peace We Rest." My dyslexia likes to flip that around because that is such an important emotion that we don't spend enough time honoring. And truly, I mean, we're sitting here and we're saying, hey, find a meditation group, find a space. That all of us keep talking about space and allowing for expansion. And a really great way to do that is through meditation, because we are walking through the entire day at work, whatever, we're kind of in our own self, right? We're being in our own energy because we're bombarded by all of these other things all day long. It's important in our life now to make that time for the space, for the expansion of fire energy, because, as you guys all know, I'm going to talk elemental cycles here. So when we are experiencing this inability to release, to really fully receive something and release it, right? Fully bring it into the heart and then send it outward. We have to be able to sit with that energy. We have to be in water. We have to be in that place of fear and hope. We have to have that movement upward energy of anger, would change, the expansion of fire that happens, this joy and opening of the body that happens in the summertime, right? And then we have this earth energy where we are open, but we are us at the same time. There is this awareness of our nucleus, and then our auric field is also full. And that's where I feel so many people have struggle. And that's really where this inability to let something go is, because what we're doing is we're not going down into metal. We're not actually fully receiving and releasing. We're not holding that thing in the open hand. We're not allowing our body to openly experience that sensation. We are contracting between earth and fear. We're going between fire and water a bunch, and we skip metal. So we don't allow gravity and time to pass and just allow it to sit there. We are wanting to do something all the time. We're wanting to do something with this energy because emotions will kill us. That I like, it's seriously, I wrote something about this the other day. Emotions will not kill us. What we choose to do with them will. Like, that's, that's a real thing though. I feel even within myself, I find myself like, oh, I don't want to have that emotion because it's so terrible. It's like, and then again, even with my hands, I'm constricting and I'm pulling up into my body. And then I have to breathe down and release and open up, which is my own self going through that elemental cycle within minutes. Like, this doesn't have to be an all day experience for you to get there. Just really being aware. For me, the number one technique I would say in learning to release things, like learning to fully receive and fully release things, is learning the movement of the elements, learning the movement of your body and how energy works through and where it's getting stuck.
I think it's always been fascinating to me too how many of us are so uncomfortable with the thought of being at peace. It's such a foreign concept to us that when we start to genuinely experience it for the first time, we don't trust it. And we often will like shift out of it immediately. Like, nope, I need to be busy. I need some bigness. I need, like, this doesn't feel safe because we've been in survival mode for so long that peace almost feels dangerous. And it's such a beautiful process to watch people soften to the idea and trust that safety, trust themselves to experience that. And as they do, like, it radiates. That expansion happens, that openness happens, and it bleeds over into everything. And I so appreciate the elemental wisdom of those cycles, because as we start to think about those, as we go into the different seasons, it's beautiful to think about what is like the physical season and element that we are in, what's my own personal cycle and the cycles of those around me, and how can we find peace together among those different cycles. It's getting a little complicated and going down that road, but it's beautiful. If you want to know more, reach out.
It is beautiful and it does feel complicated, but it's also the breath. Like, if you want to get more, I mean, and Jerry does this for his, life's work, if you will, like finding your breath is the simplest version of this cycle. And so if this all feels really overwhelming to you, but you're also like, oh yeah, I'm intrigued, follow your breath first. Get into the place and noticing, can you breathe in? Can you hold the breath? Can you breathe up? Can you exhale the breath? What does that feel like for you? That is the basic version of that. And then as time goes on, and as maybe your interest peaks and you want to know more about what the cycle means and how you can do it, start to watch nature. Start to watch the seasons. Start to watch what the animals are doing and what the trees are doing and what the flowers are doing. Notice their movement, because that's going to teach you. Like, that's all I do, right? That's all I'm showing you, is I'm showing you this wisdom of the nature that is outside. You can look at it, you can observe it whilst you're breathing. And then of course come to class, like, obviously, but I don't want to, I want you to know that you can do this by yourself. Like, you can find this. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just kind of have to open your eyes and look.
Yeah, you just got to find an awareness to it, an awareness to finding that peace within you. It's so important. I mean, that's why this Vipassana practice, it's kind of funny, like you said about the breath, Jasmine, because the first 3 days of meditation is literally just breathing in and out of your nose and noticing the breath going in and out. Like that's the meditation. And that's all you do for 3 days is just really so these really in-depth meditation practices, it really starts with the most simplest thing of just observing the airflow. And what that does is that gets your mind out of everything else and just focused on that one simple singular thing. And what that does is that allows all your other senses, it gives them a break, right? When we're always like in this heightened mode, all our senses are like on fire, right? Always lit up. Everything's always active. I can smell, hear, taste, feel, see, and they're all going. Shut them down. And once you can kind of shut them down, that's where that peace starts to come in. That's where that space for that awareness shift to happen, that's where that takes place. And until you can get to that space, you're kind of just putting it on hold. And then all those emotions that we hold on to, they're just kind of stacking up. Because remember, it's all about the flow, right? And if it isn't moving, it isn't flowing, it's just going to stack up and cause more problems. I know this personally, right? And I think you guys do too as well. It's like once you can get into that space, um, but it can be simple, and it is simple. But the hard part is that our world and our lives are complicated.
Yeah.
So it's really just releasing that idea that I have to be busy and that I have to be, you know, creating something outside of you. And the reality is it's more important that you're creating something within you. It's not like you're not stopping and you're not doing anything. You're still doing so much, but it's just for yourself. It's for you. It's being selfish in the most positive light.
Well, I feel like for me, it's about being in this moment and fully experiencing, like if we are, and so I was at a summit, well, I don't know, whenever, 2 weeks ago now, and there was a bit of an integration day, and one of the teachers, she is so lovely. And she's so funny because people were asking all these questions about like, goals and like different stuff, right? These like all these kind of like going and doing sort of questions. And I wish I could remember all of them, but I was in the moment. And so I don't remember per se what all the questions were. But I do remember her answer to every single one of those questions is, are you being right now? And you can't answer that question. You can't be thinking about all of what's going forward, all of what you need to do, and be right now in your body. And if some of you guys are thinking, well, what does this have to do with letting go? Well, you can't let go of something if you're somewhere else. Like you have to be right here. And if you are right here, you are nowhere else. So you are not holding on to anything. You are in this moment, and it can be that simple. It doesn't have to be this complicated, insane process. Although I do enjoy Mia Cycle and I do enjoy the fun of experiencing that. Like that's fun, and it can bring enrichment to an experience to have conversations and kind of be somewhere else. But that sensation, and ultimately, if you are not just right here, you're not letting go. And if you are right here, you have nothing to let go. And then your body can let go. Your body can be in this moment. Your body can be fully in the process of receiving and releasing simultaneously. And your body, which is built to process everything that we experience, our body processes the food that we eat, our body processes the air that we breathe, our body processes the energy that we experience. And if we just be in this moment, get out of the body's way to do what it's built to do, soften, and all we have to do is just be here and be soft. And the letting go will do its own thing. Like your body will let go. If you have like IBS, my IBS friends, my constipation friends, my diarrhea friends, if you have any gut things, it's because you're holding on to everything. As I burp, excuse me. And that was my journey. Like I created all kinds of stomach problems for myself because I'm like just holding on for dear life to whatever. It didn't even, like, I couldn't even begin to go into the numerous stories, which is when I work with people, I don't go into your stories. I don't have time for that shit. It took you your whole lifetime to get here. I don't have time to undo all of that. But what we can do is get you right here, and then your body can do what it needs to do and not get so tied to all the stories.
Yeah, and we like to put you into a space to where you can actually feel everything, right? And until you get into those spaces, like that feeling, you have to be able to like feel that emotion 100%. And if you have a distraction or something else that you're not focused, like you're focused on, that's taking away from actually experiencing that emotion, because that's
Mhm.
honestly all the body wants. The body wants you to feel that emotion so it can move. And just think of every time you put thought into that emotion and feel it, think of it moving a little bit further down the line and starting to
Mhm.
move into that gratitude space. But and it takes time, right? Like my biggest thing, my biggest grief, like for me, what I thought was the first one was 7 years old. And I thought I had it kicked and I thought I figured out the grief and the loss and it was all great. And then I learned a real valuable lesson that grief isn't like an emotion. Grief is something that we all have within us. And it's the emotions that go through the grief. And
Mhm.
so, and it's so important for us to feel that emotion because that's what the body needs. The body needs that so that that love and that loss, all that kind of goes away and it turns into this gratitude and appreciation for the experience that you had. But it's not a process that's just like a switch. It takes a lot of time and space. And so many people hold on to this grief and it weighs them down and it slows them down and it pulls in this depression and and then you're taking pills and you're trying to get off antidepressants and all the side effects from that, and when all you really need to do is just give yourself the space to be able to feel that flow, right? And if you sit there and you don't feel anything moving, that might be your sign, right? That flow needs to be there. And if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're just regurgitating the same story and but nothing's changing, that's where you need it the most. That's where you know that you need to really just kind of sit in silence and find that space to where you can really get to know yourself because I don't think most people really know who they are, right? Like we're all evolving. We all have this idea of who we're supposed to be, but until we actually go out and experience it, that's when we become who we are. But we have all these people right now that I think have these ideas of what they want to be, but they're so afraid to go be it. They're afraid to get out and go do it because they don't want to let go. And it's so sad.
They don't want to feel that. They don't even know how to
Yeah,
feel because
yeah.
you are sensation. Like that's what you are. You're a combination of sensations. That's what makes us individual people. And AKA you're a combination of your life experiences. And when you allow yourself to fully receive that and release that, and you're not holding on to any particular identity or any particular part of your story, you're allowing those pieces of the story to come in. And I really love, Jerry, when you speak about grief as this thing that never really ends because it's the love that you haven't felt yet. And I really think that's super duper important to hear that, like to really hear what that means. And if your body is constricting to that sentence, I really hope you write it down, because when you start to think about that in a different way and you think about the love and the experience that you felt from a person or a situation or a relationship or a job or whatever, that love you thought you were going to feel there, that is the feeling you're wanting to receive. That's the feeling you're looking for in something else. So when you can allow that moment, when a loved one, when an animal, when a job, when you have those old memories come into your mind, don't grief is not misery. Like that is not. And we can talk about it all day if you want, but it's not.
Well, grief's more about love. Grief's all about love. Grief is about attachment to love and our ability to like really care about something, right? Whatever that is. And it's definitely a love thing. And it's definitely, and so it's just really that unexpressed love that we had for whatever that was. And so if once you can get into that space and lean into it, it's such a beautiful space. It's a positive space. It's a space of gratitude. It's a space of like just relief because now it's not a victim story. Now it's a celebration of life. And
Yeah.
that to me is like, holy shit, that's where I want to live, right? I want to be able to say, yeah, this tragedy happened, but now look, I can take it and show you all the love. And I can literally show you all the love that that loss created, like the passion that it gave me, the drive that it gave me, the direction it gave me. And I use it as I call it my, like my superpower. Like I take the grief and I use it's my superpower. Like if I didn't have those tragedies, I wouldn't be able to love the way I do now. And like for me, that's the most important thing, to be aware of that I'm capable of that. Because like the majority of my life, I didn't think I was capable of that. I had so much doubt, so many identity things that I was holding on to, the ego, right? That just loves to be right. But yeah, yeah, that space is where all this takes place. And it's so valuable to make room for that, because all you're going to do is be a better person for yourself and everybody around you.
Yes. I I love the idea that not just grief, but like trauma or healing or whatever your journey in that path is. I have so much compassion for those of us who avoid it. Right? A lot of people just avoid it because we're afraid. We're afraid of the bigness. We're afraid to experience the the overwhelm or all of the worst case scenarios that we've told ourselves about what happens if we open this box. What happens if I allow myself to fully feel this? And my I kind of like to compare it to an onion, right? Like grief comes in layers, healing comes in layers. Like it's not an all at once thing. I don't feel like our psyche, our body, our spirit could handle all at once, right? So it is a matter of layers, but like you guys said, it's not all bad. It does get to be fun. I think of it like Disneyland. How many times do people go to? I know people who go to Disneyland 3 times a year, and every single time it's a different experience. They have so much fun in a different way. They see it through a different lens. And I feel like the same is true for our healing journey, for walking through life, for experiencing the fullness of these emotions. And the most pleasant surprise to me has been like anger, for example. That was a feeling that I avoided like the plague, like the plague for myself and for everyone around me. And it was one thing to get comfortable with it and allow myself to feel it. It's another thing now to move into the space of experiencing joy at the same time that I am experiencing anger and having so much appreciation for others that are allowing themselves to feel that same emotion. So there's more than one way to do this. And I feel like that's my biggest takeaway. I hope that people are listening, take this away, that there's not one healing journey for us all. There's not even one healing journey for you. I really hope that people allow themselves the opportunity to explore different ways of being, different ways of doing. We can course correct at any time, and that's okay. And it's fun. It's kind of
Yeah.
exciting to see the different things that we can do as humans, the different ways that we can heal, the different ways that we can influence one another. And nature teaches us that every single day, just to kind of tie back to what we were talking about earlier. Nature teaches us how to let go. And you've got some trees that literally shed everything, and other trees that hold on to everything. It's fascinating, and they're all beautiful, and they all thrive in different ways. So, yeah, go out into nature, see what feels good, see what you connect with most, and ask yourself those deeper questions of what is coming up for me in this observation. And whether you're going to that mental space, you're recalling memory, you're able to identify things, or you're just listening to your body and asking yourself how it feels. Both of those are okay. Both of those are beautiful.
Yeah. Anything. I'm pro anything that gets you in your own body. Anything that allows you, when we talk about this journey of receiving and releasing, again, anything that gets you into your body knows. Your body knows how to do it. If you create the space to listen, it will teach you. It will teach you. And if you need to go somewhere else to help you listen to your body, then do that. Find that person, find that community. I mean, if you live close to us, obviously we would love to have you come and join us. But there's lots of places. There's lots of places that can be that for you and can help you find the you And you will, like Roxy said, I think there is so much fear in the unexpressed emotion. There's so much fear in how is that going to feel? How is it going to feel when I open Pandora's box? I've opened Pandora's box a bunch of times, and it is always sweet. It is always, always, always sweet. It always feels better. And you guys have ceremonied with me before, and I've said it before on this podcast, I am forever asking universe, please be kind and gentle. Please be kind and gentle. I am not here for a big experience. So don't think that I'm just like, I have this like high pain tolerance and I've like figured it out more. And I think that's really important that we share this as we talk to you guys. Like, we're human beings too. We're having this human experience at the exact same time as you're having the human experience. I don't like big. And I don't take me into a whirlwind, universe. Don't take me into a spiral. Don't take me into a psychiatric break. Those are not experiences that I've had. And I've had some big things happen in my life. And so I hope this is a story of hope for you to see. You can open Pandora's box safely. You can have sweet experiences from opening that up. And for me, the only thing that it's done is create deeper connections and more sensation in my body that feels amazing because I'm giving my body permission to just do what it needs to do. And I just get healthier every time I release, I'm so big in it. And even as we're recording this podcast, sometimes you'll see my body go like this, and I'm like, you'll see my elbows. I've been noticing it a lot in my elbows. Oh, my elbows are tight. Okay. It's something that I'm constantly doing is I'm feeling the constriction in my body and I'm softening. I'm receiving sensation. My body's like, oh no, I don't know about this. And then I'm saying we're safe. And then I'm releasing it to be whatever it's going to be.
It's funny. I do that on the massage table, right? You'll be on the massage table. You're like, oh, I'm relaxed. And then they're like, okay, now relax. You're like, oh, I can relax. And you like go a little bit deeper. You fall a little bit deeper into the massage table. You're like, oh yeah, I can relax that much deeper. Like really feeling it, right? And having that shift.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so simple, right? It's just as simple as like when you take a deep breath after you realize that you haven't been breathing deep and you take that real deep breath, how that feels.
Yeah.
Right? That feeling right there that everybody experiences. That's what it feels like when these emotions start to move, but just on a giant scale. But it's that same type of release, right? That ah, and it's such a beautiful feeling. And those emotions, those poor little emotions that we hold on to and like keep them prison within us, like they want to move. They want to flow just like the universe does. And so allow them to move, allow it to feel, and know that if it feels really big and it feels really strong and it might hurt and it might feel angry, again, that's just that unexpressed love. And so all that's showing you is, man, I really love that person, or man, I really love that situation, whatever it is. And that just shows how big your own heart is. And that's where you find the gratitude, right? That's where you're like, oh, I am a big hearted person. Oh, I do give a damn. I do belong here. Hell yeah. But we get so distracted and then we don't ever really challenge ourselves. And sometimes this can be the challenge. Doing nothing can be one of the biggest challenges of your life, but it's not doing nothing, it's doing something for yourself. Even though you're not doing anything outside of yourself, you're doing 1,000 times more work just by giving back to yourself and holding that space for yourself.
Yeah, and I would love to just add to that is brutal honesty. I feel like I talk about this every episode, right? I but don't gaslight yourselves. It's so easy for us to do that. Oh no, I'm okay. Everything's fine. I don't need to go there. I don't want to go there. I'm great. Versus, look, I know this is there and I'm not ready. I'm afraid. As we have those moments of brutal honesty with ourselves, if we acknowledge at least that those emotions exist, we're just not ready to feel, sometimes that's enough to allow our body to soften, to acknowledge that within ourselves, to say, okay, at least I know you see me. I don't have to scream so loud at you anymore. And my back's not going to go out, or I'm not going to fall ill for 2 weeks, those kinds of things, right? That acknowledgement, that brutal honesty, I feel like is the most beautiful relationship that we have with ourselves. So I feel like just love yourself, be honest with yourself, accept yourself with where you're at, know that where you are is enough. And allow yourself to do the work when you're ready, but don't gaslight yourself into being ready or to not being ready.
Mm-hmm.
Take the time to breathe, be where you are, and let it go.
And if you feel stuck, know that there's people out here that are ready to help you feel unstuck. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to sit in it. You don't have to stay. Again, the universe wants you to flow. Everything inside this whole idea of what our existence is all about flow and movement. And if that feeling of stuck really haunts you and it really like pulls you down and pulls you out, like reach out. Like there's a whole universe out here that wants you to move and that wants you to flow.
Yeah, for sure. If you're stuck and you don't know, just reach out.
Or go listen to the Frozen soundtrack and learn how to let it go.
Have a dance party.
Have a dance party. Awesome.
All right. Or is there anything else that you guys want to add before we wrap up today's episode?
Oh, it feels complete to me.
Yeah, feels awesome. Feels great.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your thoughts as always. And thank you to everyone who listened in today. We hope that you found a little bit of wisdom, understand yourself a little bit deeper so that you can let things flow through you, let them go, love yourself, love the world. Have a great day. Until next time, we love you.
Love you guys.
Goodbye.